The pre-dawn darkness of Chicago's South Side was Marcus Bennett's companion. 4:47 a.m. His alarm hadn't gone off yet, but his body knew. 7 years of this routine had rewired his internal clock. He rolled out of the narrow bed, his feet finding the cold hardwood floor, and paused to look at the framed photograph on his nightstand. Ayanna. Her smile still took his breath away, even though she'd been gone for 5 years. Beautiful, dark skin, natural hair in elegant twists, eyes full of life. Their wedding day. He touched the frame gently, a morning ritual, then stood and moved toward the tiny kitchen of their 2-bedroom apartment. The coffee maker gurgled to life. Marcus moved through the motions with practiced efficiency. 2 eggs, scrambled, wheat toast, orange juice for Zara. While the eggs cooked, he laid out his daughter's school uniform on the bathroom counter, navy skirt, white polo shirt, her favorite purple cardigan with the little flowers she'd picked out herself. "Daddy?" A sleepy voice called from the second bedroom. Marcus smiled, the first real smile of his day. "Morning, sunshine. It's early. Go back to sleep." "Can't sleep. I heard you moving around." 7-year-old Zara appeared in the doorway, her natural hair standing up in every direction, her brown eyes still heavy with sleep. She wore her frozen pajamas, the ones that were getting too small, but she refused to give up. "Come here, baby girl." Marcus scooped her up, settling her on his hip like she weighed nothing, even though she was getting so big now. He could feel how her arms wrapped around his neck, trusting, complete. "Daddy, you smell like outside," she mumbled against his shoulder. "That's because Daddy just worked all night, remember? Night shift at the warehouse. I don't like when you work at night. The apartment is too quiet without you." His chest tightened. Mrs. Chen from 4B watched Zara overnight 3 times a week. A kind woman. But it killed him every time he had to leave his daughter sleeping, knowing she'd wake up and he wouldn't be there. "I know, sweetheart. But that's how Daddy makes sure we have everything we need. And I'm always back before you go to school, right?" "Right." She lifted her head, her small hand touching his face, feeling the stubble. "Daddy, your face is scratchy." "That means it's time for breakfast and then Daddy needs to shave." He set her down at their small kitchen table. The apartment was tiny. Living room, kitchenette, 2 small bedrooms, 1 bathroom, but it was clean. Marcus made sure of that. The walls held Zara's artwork, bright splashes of color against the worn paint. Family photos. A cross above the doorway that had belonged to Ayanna's grandmother. On the refrigerator, held by magnets, were the bills. Marcus tried to keep them out of Zara's sight, but she was observant. Electric, $147, due in 5 days. Rent, got $200, due in 12 days. Groceries this week, $83, and they'd have to make it stretch. His warehouse. Job paid $16.50 an hour. Night differential brought it to $18.75. It was enough. Barely, but enough. "Daddy, can I have pancakes instead of eggs?" Marcus glanced at the clock. 5:23 a.m. Pancakes took longer, but the hope in her eyes. "Blueberry or chocolate chip?" "Chocolate chip." Zara bounced in her seat. While the pancakes cooked, Marcus worked on Zara's hair. He'd taught himself everything after Ayanna died. YouTube videos, trial and error, burned fingers from the hot comb, tears, his and Zara's both. But now his hands moved with confidence, parting her thick, natural hair, applying moisturizer, creating 2 neat puffs secured with colorful elastics. "You're the best hair daddy ever," Zara declared, admiring herself in the mirror. "The only hair daddy you know," Marcus corrected with a smile. "Still the best." If you're enjoying this story so far, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Drop a comment telling me where in the world you're watching from. I love hearing from you. Breakfast was their sacred time. Marcus asked about school, about her best friend Aisha, about the book they were reading in class. Zara talked with her hands, animated, spilling out every detail of her 7-year-old world. These moments were why he worked himself to exhaustion, why he took double shifts, why he'd given up everything he used to be. 7 years ago, Marcus Bennett had been someone else entirely. Marine Corps, Force Reconnaissance, the elite. He'd operated in 12 countries, earned 3 commendations, and been on track for officer candidacy. He'd been good at it, great at it. Reading terrain, threat assessment, close quarters combat, tactical planning. It had been his identity. Then Ayanna got diagnosed. Stage 4 ovarian cancer. The doctors gave her 6 months. She lasted 8, fighting every day. Marcus was deployed when she got sick. He came home on emergency leave, and the moment he saw her, fragile, beautiful, determined, he made his decision. He resigned his commission, came home, held her hand through chemotherapy, through the bad days and the few good ones. He was there when Zara was born 2 months premature, a miracle the doctor said shouldn't have happened given Ayanna's condition. He was there for Ayanna's last breath, in their apartment, with baby Zara sleeping in the next room. After the funeral, Marcus had a choice to make. His former commander offered him contractor work, 6 figures, overseas, utilizing his skills. Or stay. Raise Zara. Live small. Be present. It wasn't even a choice. He sold Ayanna's car, moved to a cheaper apartment, and took the first job he could find that offered benefits and steady hours. Warehouse logistics, loading trucks, inventory management, forklift operation. It used his body but not his mind. It paid the bills but not much more. It was invisible work, the kind nobody notices. And that was exactly what he needed. Invisible, safe, far from the world of violence he'd left behind. "Daddy, you're staring at nothing again." Zara's voice pulled him back. "Sorry, baby, just thinking." "About Mommy?" Marcus's throat tightened. "Yeah, about Mommy. I miss her, but I don't remember her much anymore. Is that bad?" He pulled Zara onto his lap. "No, sweetheart. You were so little, but I remember her enough for both of us, and she's always with us, right here." He touched her chest over her heart. "Right here," Zara repeated, her small hand covering his. After breakfast, Marcus walked Zara to Grayson Elementary, 6 blocks away. It was a ritual they both loved. She held his hand, sometimes skipping, sometimes serious, always talking. They passed Mr. Washington's corner store. Marcus waved. Past the church where they attended Sunday service, Zara always pointed out the stained glass windows she loved, through the small park where they'd spent countless afternoons. "Daddy, tonight can we make cookies?" "Tonight Daddy has to work again, remember? But tomorrow night, absolutely." "Promise?" "Promise." At the school gates, Zara hugged him tight. "Love you, Daddy." "Love you more, sunshine. Love you most." She grinned their daily exchange, then ran toward where Aisha was waiting. Marcus watched until she disappeared inside, then turned toward home. He had 3 hours before he needed to pick her up. Time to sleep, though sleep never came easy. His mind was too trained for awareness, for threat assessment. Every sound in the building registered, every footstep in the hallway. Old habits die hard. His phone buzzed. A text from his supervisor. "Can you cover a shift tonight?" Jenkins called out. "Double time." Marcus stared at the message. Double time meant $37.50 an hour. A full shift would be nearly $300 extra. That would cover the electric bill and buy Zara new shoes, the ones she needed but he'd been putting off. But it also meant another night away from Zara. Another night of her waking up without him there. He typed back, "I'll take it." Sometimes being a father meant making the hard choice that didn't feel good, but was necessary. 3:17 p.m. Marcus stood outside Grayson Elementary, watching the doors. Other parents clustered in groups, chatting, laughing. Marcus stood alone. He'd learned early that single fathers occupied a strange space, not quite part of the mom groups, not unfriendly, just separate. The doors burst open, a flood of children, and there, Zara, her puffs slightly askew now, her purple cardigan tied around her waist, running toward him with something in her hand. "Daddy, look what I made." She thrust a construction paper card at him. Bright colors, carefully drawn letters. World's Best Daddy. "It's for you. Teacher said we could make cards for someone we love." Marcus knelt down, eye level with his daughter, and felt his throat close up. "This is beautiful, baby girl. Absolutely beautiful." "Do you really like it?" "I love it. We're putting this on the refrigerator as soon as we get home." They walked home through different streets today. Marcus had noticed a group of young guys hanging around their usual route yesterday. Loud, territorial. Not necessarily dangerous, but why risk it? He varied their route daily, an old habit from his military days. Zara never questioned it. She just held his hand and talked about her day. They were cutting through the parking garage of the Riverside Medical Building, a shortcut Marcus had used dozens of times, when he heard it. A woman's voice, sharp with fear. "Please, stop! I said no!" Marcus stopped walking. His entire body went still, every sense suddenly amplified. The voice had come from the upper level. "Daddy!" Zara felt the change in him immediately. Then they heard it again, clearer this time. "Help! Somebody help me!" Marcus's jaw tightened. Every instinct he'd spent 5 years burying suddenly roared to life. He looked down at Zara, at her wide, trusting eyes. "Baby girl, I need you to stay right here. Don't move. Daddy will be right back." "Daddy, what's happening?" "Someone needs help. Stay here, Zara. I mean it." But before he could move, rapid footsteps echoed down the concrete ramp. A woman appeared, running, stumbling in heels. She was black, maybe 35, wearing a business suit that was torn at the shoulder. Blood ran from her nose. Behind her, 4 men were giving chase. The woman saw Marcus and Zara. Her eyes went wide with desperate hope. "Please, they're trying to kill me." The 4 men rounded the corner. Young, muscled, moving with the confident swagger of people who'd never been told no. The lead one, tattoos covering his neck, gold teeth when he smiled, pointed at Marcus. "Mind your business, warehouse man. This doesn't concern you." Marcus felt Zara grab his leg, felt her small body pressed against him, felt the card she'd made him crumpling in his back pocket where he'd placed it. The woman stumbled closer. She fell to her knees right in front of Marcus and Zara. "Please," she gasped. "I'm Judge Diane Foster. These men, they're going to kill me. Please help." Judge Diane Foster. Marcus knew that name. Everyone in Chicago knew that name. She was presiding over the biggest corruption trial in the city's history. Alderman Marcus Caine and his entire network. The trial had been all over the news. "Last chance," Goldteeth said. "Walk away, take your kid and go home. Nobody has to get hurt." Marcus looked at the woman at his feet, bleeding and terrified. He looked at the 4 men, calculating their stance, their readiness, their threat level. He looked at his daughter. "Daddy, they're hurting her." Zara's voice cut through everything. "We have to help her." And just like that, Marcus's choice was made. He turned to Zara and knelt down, his hands on her small shoulders. "Remember how we practiced the quiet game? The one where you go sit in the corner and don't make a sound no matter what?" Zara nodded, her eyes wide. "I need you to play that game right now. Go to that corner." He pointed to an alcove 20 feet away. "Sit down, cover your ears, and close your eyes. Don't open them until I say. Can you do that for Daddy?" "I'm scared." "I know, baby, but Daddy's got this. Trust me." "I trust you, Daddy." "Good girl. Go now." Zara ran to the corner. She sat down, covered her ears, and squeezed her eyes shut tight. Marcus stood up. He helped Judge Foster to her feet and positioned her behind him. Then he turned to face the 4 men. "Last chance for you," Marcus said quietly. His voice had changed. It wasn't the warehouse worker's voice anymore. It wasn't the gentle father's voice. It was something else entirely. Something cold and final. "Walk away right now." Goldteeth laughed. "You think you're tough. You're just some broke single dad playing hero for—" He never finished the sentence. Marcus moved. What happened next took 11 seconds. The first man, Goldteeth, lunged forward, reaching for what Marcus already knew would be a knife. Marcus sidestepped smoothly, grabbed the man's extended wrist and twisted. The snap of bone was audible. Goldteeth screamed. Marcus drove his palm up into the man's nose, then swept his legs out from under him. Goldteeth hit the concrete hard and didn't get up. The second man, bigger and smarter, came in low, trying to tackle Marcus. Former linebacker build knew how to use his weight. Marcus pivoted, redirected the momentum, and drove his knee into the man's solar plexus. The air left the man's lungs with a whoosh, an elbow to the back of the neck, and the man was down. The third and fourth men attacked simultaneously. This was more dangerous. The third man had a knife. Marcus saw the glint of steel. The fourth had a collapsible baton. Marcus grabbed a discarded car antenna from the ground, about 3 feet of flexible metal. When the knife came at him, he used the antenna to trap the blade, twisted it out of the man's grip, and delivered 3 rapid strikes: throat, solar plexus, knee. The man crumpled. The fourth man, seeing his friends down, swung the baton wildly. Marcus ducked under the first swing, caught the second on the antenna, and closed the distance. A strike to the wrist released the baton. A sweep took the legs. The man's head bounced off concrete with a sickening crack. 11 seconds. 4 men down. Marcus's breathing was steady. His hands weren't shaking. Muscle memory had taken over, and for those 11 seconds he hadn't been a warehouse worker or a single father. He'd been what he used to be. The silence was deafening. Then Judge Foster's voice, shaking, "Oh my God! Oh my God! Who are you?" Marcus turned to check on Zara. She was still in the corner, ears covered, eyes closed. Perfect. "Zara, you can look now, baby." Zara opened her eyes and looked at her father, then at the 4 men on the ground, then back at her father. Her expression was pure awe. "Daddy, you really are a superhero." "No, sweetheart, just a dad who knows how to protect people." Judge Foster was staring at him like he'd appeared from thin air. "You? What are you?" "Police. Security." "Warehouse worker," Marcus said, pulling out his phone to call 911. "But I used to be a Marine." Within minutes, sirens filled the parking garage. Police, ambulances. The 4 attackers were arrested, conscious now, but hurting. Detective Chen, a no-nonsense woman in her 40s, took Marcus's statement while Zara sat on a bench, swinging her legs and eating a lollipop an EMT had given her. "Mr. Bennett," Detective Chen said, looking up from her notepad, "you took down 4 armed men in under 15 seconds. That's not standard warehouse worker training." "Force recon, ma'am, 7 years, but that was a long time ago." "Not that long ago, apparently." She glanced at Judge Foster, who was being treated by paramedics. "Do you know who she is?" "Judge Foster. I've seen her on the news." "She's presiding over the Caine corruption trial. These 4 men, they're connected to Caine's organization. This was an assassination attempt." Detective Chen looked at Marcus with new respect. "You just saved a judge's life and probably preserved the most important trial this city has seen in decades." Marcus just wanted to go home. He wanted to get Zara dinner, help her with homework, and pretend this hadn't happened. But already he could see people with phones out, recording. A news van was pulling up. This was about to become public. Judge Foster appeared beside him, her nose bandaged but her eyes clear. "Mr. Bennett. Marcus, I need to know your full name, your contact information. I need to properly thank you." "That's not necessary, Your Honor." "Yes, it is." Her voice was firm. "You saved my life. Those men were going to kill me right there in that garage. And your daughter," she looked at Zara, She told you to help me, didn't she? She has a good heart. She has a father who taught her what's right. Judge Foster pressed a card into his hand. My private number. Please, let me thank you properly. Marcus took the card to be polite, but he had no intention of calling. By the time they got home, it was after 6 p.m. Marcus made dinner, spaghetti and meatballs, Zara's favorite. She was quieter than usual, processing what she'd seen. Daddy, were you scared? A little, Marcus admitted, but I knew I had to help that lady. Because it was the right thing? Because it was the right thing. I want to be like you when I grow up. Marcus's heart clenched. You already are, sunshine. You already are. That night, after Zara was asleep, Marcus checked his phone. 17 missed calls, 32 text messages, most from numbers he didn't recognize, and one video that was going viral. Someone had recorded the entire fight. The title, Single Dad Destroys 4 Armed Men Protecting Judge. Unbelievable. The comments were exploding. Half were supportive, praising his courage. The other half were mocking him. Broke janitor playing action hero. Warehouse. Batman. Desperate for attention. But the views were climbing. 500,000. 750,000. A million. Marcus's face was everywhere. His carefully constructed invisible life was gone, and at exactly 7 a.m. the next morning, the knocking started. End of Part 1, 3,847 words. Marcus barely slept. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw those 11 seconds on repeat. Not the violence, that didn't bother him, but the exposure, his face on a million screens, people knowing who he was, where he lived. The knock came at exactly 7:03 a.m., sharp and authoritative. Marcus looked through the peephole and his blood ran cold. 3 black SUVs were parked outside his building. Men in suits stood at attention. And at his door, standing with perfect posture and an expression that mixed gratitude with something else, determination, was Judge Diane Foster. She wasn't alone. Marcus opened the door slowly. Judge Diane Foster stood there in an immaculate gray suit, no longer bleeding or terrified, but radiating the authority of someone who commanded courtrooms. Behind her stood a man in his 60s, gray hair, sharp eyes, expensive suit, and 2 younger men who had security detail written all over them. Mr. Bennett, Judge Foster said, I hope I'm not too early. Daddy? Zara appeared behind him in her pajamas, rubbing her eyes. Is that the lady you saved? Judge Foster's expression softened immediately. She knelt down to Zara's level. Yes, sweetheart. I'm Diane. Your daddy is the bravest man I've ever met. I know, Zara said matter-of-factly. He's my daddy. The older man stepped forward, extending his hand to Marcus. Mr. Bennett, I'm Walter Harrison, Judge Foster's chief of security. May we come in? We need to talk. Marcus's instincts screamed at him to say no, to close the door, to keep his small world separate from this. But Zara was looking up at him with curious eyes, and Judge Foster's expression held something that looked like desperation. 5 minutes, Marcus said, stepping aside. The apartment had never felt smaller. Walter Harrison's eyes swept the space with professional assessment. Exits, sightlines, vulnerabilities. Judge Foster sat carefully on Marcus's worn couch. Her security team remained standing. Zara, baby, go get dressed for school, Marcus said gently. But I want to hear... Now, please. Something in his tone made Zara obey without argument. When her door closed, Marcus turned to his visitors. What's this about? Walter Harrison spoke first. Mr. Bennett, yesterday's incident wasn't random. Those 4 men were hired by Alderman Caine's organization to eliminate Judge Foster before she could rule on key evidence admissions this Friday. They failed because of you. And now they know about you, Judge Foster added quietly. Your face is everywhere, Marcus. The video has 17 million views. They know your name, where you work, and where I live, Marcus finished, his jaw tight. Where my daughter lives. Yes. Walter's expression was grave. Caine's organization doesn't forgive interference. They especially don't forgive public humiliation. 4 of their men arrested, their plan exposed, all because of one warehouse worker who happened to be a Force Recon Marine. Marcus felt cold spreading through his chest. What are you saying? I'm saying you and your daughter are in danger, Judge Foster said. She leaned forward, her hands clasped. Marcus, I didn't come here to thank you, though I am more grateful than words can express. I came to warn you and to offer you protection. I can protect my daughter myself. Can you? Walter's question wasn't mocking, just brutally honest. Can you be with her 24/7? You work nights at the warehouse. Who watches her then? Mrs. Chen from 4B? What happens when Caine's people figure that out? Marcus's hands clenched. He'd already thought of this. All night, lying awake, running scenarios. Mrs. Chen was 73 years old. Zara's school had basic security, but nothing that could stop determined professionals. And he couldn't quit his job. They needed the money to survive. What are you proposing? Come work for me, Judge Foster said. Official position, security consultant for the court. Unofficial reality, you and Zara move into my guest house, fully protected, full-time security detail. The trial ends in 3 weeks. After that, Caine and his organization will be dismantled. You and Zara can return to your normal life. 3 weeks of hiding. 3 weeks of safety, Walter corrected. Look, Bennett, I've read your military file. You're qualified for this work. The judge needs someone she can trust absolutely. And after yesterday, that's you. Take the job. Protect your daughter. Let us help you. Marcus looked at his daughter's closed door. Behind it, Zara was probably trying to listen through the wall, her ear pressed to the door like she always did when adults talked. I need to think about it. You have until noon, Walter said, standing. After that, we can't guarantee we can move you safely. Caine's people are watching. They're planning. Every hour you wait is an hour they get closer. Judge Foster stood as well, but she approached Marcus, her voice dropping low. I have a daughter, too. Simone. She's 15. She doesn't know how close she came to losing me yesterday. If you hadn't been there... Her voice broke. I'm asking you, parent to parent, let me protect your child the way you protected me. After they left, Marcus sat on the couch, his head in his hands. Zara emerged from her room, fully dressed now, her backpack on. Daddy, are we in trouble? No, baby, but things might change for a little while. Because you saved the judge lady. Yeah. Zara climbed onto the couch beside him, her small hand finding his. Mommy always said you were a hero. I think she was right. Marcus pulled his daughter close. Ayana's voice echoed in his memory. Promise me you'll keep Zara safe. No matter what, promise me. At 11:47 a.m., Marcus called the number Walter Harrison had left. We're in. By 4 p.m., their lives had been packed into 6 boxes and loaded into an SUV. Marcus stood in the empty apartment, Zara holding his hand, and felt like he was abandoning something precious. But Walter's team had already swept the building and found 3 different surveillance points watching their unit. Caine's people knew exactly where they lived. The drive took 40 minutes, heading north into Evanston. The houses got bigger, the lots more expansive. Finally, they turned through iron gates onto a property that made Zara gasp. Judge Foster's main house was a beautiful brick colonial, but she led them past it to a smaller structure, a guest house that was still twice the size of their apartment. 3 bedrooms, Judge Foster explained as she showed them around. Full kitchen, living room, your own entrance. My house is 100 yards away. Security team rotates 24/7. You're safe here. Zara was already exploring, her sneakers squeaking on the hardwood floors. Daddy, this room has a window seat. Can this be my room? Sure, baby girl. Judge Foster smiled. Simone's room has one, too. I think they'll get along." She turned to Marcus. "Speaking of which, she'll be home from school soon. Fair warning, she's going to want to meet the man who saved her mother's life. She's been emotional about the whole thing." "I understand. Do you?" Judge Foster's expression was serious now. "Because I need you to understand something, Marcus. This isn't charity. This isn't me repaying a debt. This is me recognizing that you're the only person I trust completely right now. My regular security team is good, but Caine has unlimited resources. He could have people on my payroll and I'd never know. But you have no connection to any of this. You acted on pure instinct to protect a stranger. That makes you the most valuable asset I have." Before Marcus could respond, they heard a car in the driveway. A moment later, a teenage girl burst through the door of the guest house. Simone Foster was 15, with her mother's elegant features and natural hair in long braids. She saw Marcus and froze. "That's him. That's really him. Simone, this is Marcus Bennett and his daughter Zara." Simone walked up to Marcus, her eyes wet with tears. "I watched the video maybe 100 times. Those men were going to kill my mom, and you didn't even hesitate." Her voice broke. Thank you for bringing her home to me." Marcus felt his throat tighten. "Just did what was right." "No." Simone shook her head firmly. "Most people would have walked away, would have called 911 and hoped for the best. You put yourself between my mom and 4 armed men. You're a hero." Zara appeared then, peeking around her father's leg. "Are you the judge lady's daughter?" "I am, and you must be Zara. I heard you told your dad to help my mom." "He was going to help anyway," Zara said confidently. "My daddy always helps people." Simone knelt down. "Do you like music? I have an extra pair of headphones if you want to come listen to something while our parents talk boring adult stuff." Zara looked up at Marcus for permission. He nodded. "Stay in the house." As the girls disappeared upstairs, Judge Foster watched with a soft expression. "She's wonderful. Zara, I mean. You've raised her beautifully. I'm just trying not to mess her up." "You're doing more than that." Judge Foster moved to the window, her arms crossed. "Can I tell you something? Yesterday, when those men had me cornered, I thought about Simone. I thought about how she'd grow up without me, how she'd blame herself somehow, how angry she'd be at the world. She turned back to face him, and then there you were, this man I'd never met, with a daughter of his own, and you didn't think twice. You just acted. Training takes over. It's more than training. I've seen plenty of trained people freeze when it matters. You have something else, something Simone and I both need right now." She paused. "Protection, yes, but also the reminder that good people still exist." Over the next 3 days, Marcus settled into a strange new routine. Mornings with Zara, helping her adjust to the new space. She missed their old apartment, missed the familiarity, but Simone had taken her under her wing. The teenager showed Zara her room, let her try on jewelry, taught her TikTok dances that made Marcus smile despite everything. His official role was security consultant, but Walter Harrison made it clear what that really meant. "You're her last line of defense," Walter explained during a briefing. "My team handles perimeter, surveillance, threat assessment. But if something happens, if someone gets through all of us, you're the one standing between her and harm. Understood?" "Understood." Walter slid a file across the table. "This is everything we know about Caine's organization. Study it. Know the players, the tactics, the resources. These people don't quit." Marcus spent hours studying the file. Alderman Marcus Caine had built an empire on corruption, construction kickbacks, zoning bribes, union manipulation. But it was bigger than that. The trial Judge Foster presided over was uncovering connections to organized crime, money laundering, even links to political figures at the state level. If Caine went down, a lot of powerful people went with him. That made Judge Foster the most dangerous person in Chicago, and now Marcus and Zara were part of that target. The fourth night, Marcus couldn't sleep. He walked downstairs at 2 a.m. to find Judge Foster sitting in the main house kitchen, papers spread across the table, a cup of tea growing cold beside her. "Can't sleep either?" she asked without looking up. "Old habit. Light sleeper." "Military." "Yeah. Once you train yourself to wake at every sound, it's hard to untrain." He poured himself water from the sink. "You should be resting. The trial starts again tomorrow." "I will. I just need to review these depositions one more time." She finally looked up, and Marcus saw the exhaustion in her eyes, dark circles, tension in her jaw. "Do you know what it's like, having people's entire lives depending on your decisions? One wrong ruling, and Caine walks. All those victims, all that corruption, all of it continues." Marcus sat down across from her. "Sounds like combat. One wrong call, people die." "Exactly." She studied him. "How did you handle it? The pressure?" "Honestly, not well sometimes. There were nights I'd lie awake replaying decisions, wondering if I'd made the right call, wondering if someone died because of me." He paused. "But my CO told me something that helped. He said, 'You can't carry yesterday's weight into tomorrow's fight. Make the best decision with what you know, then move forward.'" Judge Foster was quiet for a long moment. "That's good advice. Doesn't make it easier, though." "No." She smiled sadly. "It doesn't." They sat in comfortable silence. Outside, Marcus could hear the security team's radio chatter, soft and professional. Inside, the house was warm, lived in. Family photos covered the walls: Simone as a baby, awkward middle school years, recent pictures where she'd grown into a beautiful young woman. In many of them, a man stood beside Judge Foster, handsome, smiling. "Your husband?" Marcus asked carefully. "Ex-husband. Trevor. He left 3 years ago." Judge Foster's voice was neutral, but Marcus heard the hurt underneath. "Said he couldn't handle the pressure of my career. The threats, the long hours, the danger. He wanted me to quit, take a corporate law position, be normal." She laughed bitterly. "I chose the bench. He chose himself. His loss. Maybe. Or maybe he was smart. Look what my career has brought. Armed men in parking garages, my daughter terrified, having to hire a stranger to protect us." She looked at Marcus. "Sometimes I wonder if he was right, if I should have quit when I had the chance." "You'd still be a target," Marcus said quietly. "Caine would still want you silenced because of what you know. And all those people counting on you for justice? They'd be left with someone who might not have your courage." Judge Foster's eyes welled up. "You don't know that." "Yeah, I do. I saw you in that parking garage. 4 armed men, bleeding, terrified, and you still made sure I knew who you were. You told me your name, your position, because you knew if they killed you, someone needed to know it wasn't random. That took courage." A tear rolled down her cheek. "I was so scared." "I know. But I couldn't show it. Not in front of them. Not ever." Her voice broke. "Do you know what it's like, Marcus? Being strong all the time? Never showing fear because the moment you do, people question everything about you?" Marcus thought about the 5 years since Ayanna died. Getting up every day, being strong for Zara, never letting her see him, break down. Going to parent-teacher conferences alone, watching other families with 2 parents and swallowing the grief. Working overnight shifts, then coming home to be cheerful and present. "Yeah," he said softly. "I know exactly what that's like." Judge Foster wiped her eyes. "Tell me about your wife." "Ayanna." Marcus tensed. He didn't talk about Ayanna, not with anyone except Zara, and even then, only when she asked. But something about this moment, the late hour, the shared exhaustion, the understanding in Judge Foster's eyes, made him speak. "She was a nurse, pediatric ICU. She could calm any crying baby, make any scared kid laugh. She was magic like that." Marcus smiled at the memory. "We met at a military charity event. I was in uniform, she was volunteering. She walked up to me and said, You look like you need someone to save you from this boring party. Boldest thing anyone had ever said to me. Love at first sight? Pretty much. We got married 6 months later. Fast, but when you know, you know. His smile faded. Then she got sick. Stage 4 ovarian cancer. I was deployed when she found out. I came home on emergency leave, took one look at her, and resigned my commission. My CO thought I was crazy. I was up for promotion, special operations training. But none of that mattered. You stayed with her. Every single day. Through chemo, through the pain, through everything. And then Zara came. 2 months premature, tiny, fighting for every breath. The doctors said Ayana's body couldn't handle pregnancy, that it would accelerate the cancer. She knew that. She chose Zara anyway. Marcus's voice roughened. Ayana died when Zara was 8 months old, and I've been trying to be enough for both of us ever since. Judge Foster reached across the table and covered his hand with hers. You are enough, Marcus. More than enough. Zara is proof of that. Her hand was warm, soft. Marcus realized how long it had been since someone touched him with kindness, with understanding. 5 years of being alone, of being strong, of carrying everything himself. Some days I'm not sure, he admitted. Some days I look at her and wonder if she'd be better off with 2 parents, or a mother figure, or someone who could give her more than— Stop. Judge Foster's grip tightened. Don't do that. Don't diminish what you're giving her. Zara has a father who shows up every single day, who protects her, teaches her right from wrong, makes her pancakes, and does her hair. She has your strength, your courage, your kindness. That's everything. Marcus met her eyes. In them, he saw his own exhaustion reflected back. 2 people carrying impossible weights, holding themselves together through sheer will. We're a mess, aren't we? He said softly. Judge Foster laughed, wiping fresh tears. Complete disasters. The most broken people I know. If you're hooked on this story, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. Your support means everything and helps me bring you more emotional stories like this one. They talked until dawn. About Simone's struggles with her father leaving, about Zara missing her mother, about the loneliness of single parenthood, about pressure and duty, and the weight of making life or death decisions. When the sun finally rose, Marcus realized something had shifted. Judge Foster wasn't just someone he was protecting anymore. She was someone who understood him in a way nobody had in 5 years, and that terrified him more than any armed threat ever could. The next evening, Marcus found Simone teaching Zara how to braid hair in the guest house living room. They sat on the floor, Simone's nimble fingers working through Zara's thick natural hair while music played softly from a speaker. See, you go over, then under, then pull tight, but not too tight, Simone explained. You don't want to hurt. Like this? Zara attempted a braid on Simone's extension. Perfect, you're a natural. Marcus watched from the doorway, his chest tight. Zara was glowing, happy in a way she hadn't been in their cramped apartment. She had a big sister figure now, someone to look up to. Your dad's watching us, Simone said without turning around. He does that, Zara replied matter-of-factly. He's a professional watcher. Simone laughed. Mr. Bennett, you can come sit with us. We don't bite. Marcus entered and sat on the couch. On the coffee table was the card Zara had made him. World's best daddy, which she'd insisted on bringing. It sat propped against a lamp, bright and cheerful. Simone's teaching me cool braids, Zara announced. So I can do yours too, Daddy. My hair's too short for braids, baby girl. Then I'll practice on Simone until yours grows out. Simone caught Marcus's eye and smiled. There was understanding there, gratitude. She knew what he'd done for her mother, but more than that, she seemed to recognize the same loneliness in him that he'd seen in Judge Foster. 2 single-parent families, finding each other in crisis, creating something that felt like home. Mr. Bennett, Simone said carefully, Can I ask you something? Sure. When you saw those men hurting my mom, what made you help? Like, really? You didn't know her. You had Zara with you. You could have just called the police and left. Marcus considered the question. You know how when you see something wrong, something in you just knows you have to act? Like there's no other choice? Yeah. It was like that. But also, he glanced at Zara. Your mom was someone's mother, just like Zara is my daughter. I kept thinking, if someone hurt me and Zara was watching, I'd hope someone would step in, would protect her. So I did what I'd want someone to do for Zara. Simone's eyes filled with tears. I'm really glad you were there. Me too, sweetheart. Later that night, after both girls were asleep, Judge Foster found Marcus on the guest house porch. He was doing what he did every night now. Scanning the perimeter, watching for threats his conscious mind couldn't see, but his trained instincts tracked automatically. Walter says you never really sleep, she said, joining him. Sleep's overrated. Marcus, you can't protect us if you collapse from exhaustion. I'm fine. You're not. She sat beside him on the porch swing. Talk to me. What's really going on? Marcus was quiet for a long time. Finally, every night I dream about that parking garage, but in the dream I'm too slow. They get past me, they hurt you, and then they go after Zara. He turned to look at her. That's why I can't sleep, because in my head I'm still fighting them, still trying to protect everyone, and I'm terrified I'm going to fail. Judge Foster took his hand, and this time neither of them pulled away. You won't fail, she said softly. You're the strongest person I've ever met. I'm not strong. I'm just stubborn. There's a difference. She laughed softly. Maybe, but your stubborn has kept me and Simone alive, so I'll take it. They sat in silence, hands intertwined, watching the night. And for the first time in 5 years, Marcus didn't feel quite so alone. The call came on day 9. Marcus was in the kitchen making breakfast when Walter Harrison burst through the door, his face grim. We have a problem. Judge Foster appeared, still in her robe. What happened? Caine's legal team just filed a motion to disqualify you from the trial. They're claiming bias, citing the parking garage incident. They're arguing that you've been compromised because you formed a personal relationship with a witness, Marcus. That's ridiculous, Judge Foster said. Marcus isn't a witness to the corruption charges. No, but he's a witness to the assassination attempt, and the fact that he and his daughter are living in your guest house, that you've employed him, that there are photos of you two together. Walter pulled out his phone, showing a picture. Someone had photographed Marcus and Judge Foster on the porch swing, holding hands, heads close together in conversation. This hit social media an hour ago. Caine's team is running with it. Marcus felt ice in his veins. Where did that come from? Long-range lens. Someone's been watching the property. Walter's jaw was tight. We swept for surveillance yesterday. Whoever took this knew how to avoid detection. Judge Foster stared at the photo, her face pale. They're going to say I'm biased because I'm romantically involved with him. Are you? Walter asked bluntly. The question hung in the air. Marcus and Judge Foster looked at each other. Was this romantic? Or was it just two broken people finding comfort in shared crisis? No, Judge Foster said firmly. Marcus is my security consultant and a friend, nothing more. The words stung more than Marcus expected. Then we go public with that statement, Walter said. Clear the air. It won't matter, Marcus said quietly. Caine wants you off this trial. He'll use anything. If it's not this, it'll be something else. He stood up. There's only one solution. I leave, take Zara and go. Without me here, Caine has no ammunition. Absolutely not, Judge Foster said immediately. You're in danger because of me. I'm not sending you back out there unprotected. I can protect myself. What about Zara? Her voice rose. What about your daughter? You think Caine will just forget about you? You humiliated his people, put 4 of them in the hospital. He doesn't forgive that. So, what do you suggest? I stay here, give Caine exactly what he wants, and cost you this trial. I suggest we fight. Judge Foster was on her feet now, her courtroom presence coming through. I'm not giving up this case. These victims deserve justice, and I'm not sacrificing you and Zara to get it. Mom? Simone appeared in the doorway, Zara behind her, both girls in pajamas. What's going on? Why is everyone yelling? Marcus's heart sank. The girls had heard everything. Are we leaving? Zara asked, her voice small. Do we have to go back to the apartment? No, baby. I don't want to leave, Zara said, tears filling her eyes. I like it here. I like Simone. I like the judge lady. Why do we always have to leave? The question hit Marcus like a physical blow. How many times had Zara's life been uprooted? First, losing her mother. Then, Marcus's constant job changes as he tried to find something that paid enough. Moving apartments 3 times in 5 years, always chasing cheaper rent. She was right. They were always leaving. Simone knelt beside Zara. You're not going anywhere. Right, Mom? Tell her. Judge Foster looked at Marcus, and in her eyes, he saw a decision forming. A dangerous one. Walter, she said, her voice taking on that courtroom steel, I want you to call a press conference. Today. Noon. Diane, I'm not asking. She turned to Marcus. And you're going to be there with me. What are you planning? The truth? Judge Foster smiled, but it was fierce. Caine wants to make this about us? Fine. Let's tell the world exactly who we are and why we're together. Let's show them that his intimidation tactics don't work, that we're not afraid of him. That's a risk, Walter warned. Everything is a risk, but I'm done hiding. She looked at both girls, standing there frightened and confused. They need to see that we don't run, that we stand our ground. Marcus understood what she was really saying. This wasn't just about the trial. It was about showing their daughters what courage looked like, what fighting for what's right looked like, even when it was hard. Okay, he said, we do this together. The press conference was scheduled for noon at the courthouse. Walter's team scrambled to set it up, while Judge Foster prepared her statement. Marcus watched her work, saw the way she transformed from the vulnerable woman he'd sat with at 2 a.m. to the commanding presence who'd ruled courtrooms for 15 years. How do you do that? He asked. Flip that switch? Practice. Years of it. She looked up from her notes. But honestly, knowing you're standing next to me helps. I don't feel alone anymore. Before Marcus could respond, Simone rushed in. Mom, you have to see this. She pulled up a video on her phone. It was from a local news station, an interview with one of Caine's attorneys. Judge Foster has clearly been compromised, the attorney said smoothly. She's formed an inappropriate relationship with a man involved in an incident related to my client. She's emotionally invested in this case in a way that makes fair judgment impossible. For the integrity of the judicial system, she must recuse herself. Inappropriate relationship, Judge Foster repeated bitterly, as if hiring security after an assassination attempt is inappropriate. It's working, Marcus said. Look at the comments. People are questioning your judgment. Then we changed the narrative. Judge Foster stood, straightening her jacket. Come on, it's time. The courthouse steps were packed with media. Cameras everywhere, reporters shouting questions. Walter's team formed a protective barrier as Judge Foster and Marcus approached the podium. Marcus had Zara's hand. Judge Foster had insisted both girls be there, standing slightly behind them. We're a family protecting each other, she'd said. Let them see that. Judge Foster stepped to the microphone. The crowd quieted. 10 days ago, 4 armed men attempted to assassinate me in a parking garage. They would have succeeded if not for the courage of one man, Marcus Bennett, a former Marine and a single father who happened to be in the wrong place at the right time. She paused, letting that sink in. Mr. Bennett didn't know me. He had no reason to risk his life except that it was the right thing to do. And because of his courage, I'm alive. My daughter still has her mother. And this trial, the trial that Alderman Caine and his attorneys so desperately want disrupted, can continue. A reporter shouted, "Judge Foster, is it true you're romantically involved with Mr. Bennett?" Mr. Bennett is my security consultant and a trusted friend. After the assassination attempt, his life and his daughter's life were put in danger because he protected me. It was my duty to ensure their safety. That's all this is. Protection for a man who protected me. Another reporter. But you're living together. How is that appropriate? Marcus stepped forward then, his hand still holding Zara's. When he spoke, his voice was calm but powerful. My name is Marcus Bennett. I'm a warehouse worker and a single father. 10 days ago, I saw a woman being attacked, and I helped her. Not because she's a judge, not because I wanted anything from her, but because my daughter— He looked down at Zara. My daughter told me, "Daddy, they're hurting her. We have to help." He looked directly into the cameras. My 7-year-old daughter has more courage and compassion than the people trying to twist this into something ugly. Judge Foster offered me protection because Alderman Caine's people are hunting me now. They've watched my home, followed my daughter to school, made it clear that they won't stop until I'm silenced. His voice hardened. But I'm not going anywhere, and I'm not letting them intimidate Judge Foster into leaving this trial, because that's what this is really about. Using me to force her out. Well, it's not going to work. The crowd erupted with questions, but Judge Foster held up her hand. The trial resumes Monday. Mr. Bennett will continue serving as my security consultant, and Alderman Caine will face justice. That's all we have to say. As they turned to leave, a reporter shouted one more question. "Mr. Bennett, are you in love with Judge Foster?" Marcus froze. Every camera turned to him. Judge Foster stood beside him, her expression unreadable. And in that moment, with the whole world watching, Marcus realized the truth. He was falling for her. But before he could say anything, gunfire erupted. The shots came from a rooftop. Walter's team immediately covered Judge Foster and the girls, dragging them inside. Marcus shielded Zara with his body, feeling the old combat instincts take over completely. "Rooftop, 2 o'clock, he shouted to Walter's team. Police swarmed the area. The shooter was captured within minutes, another of Caine's hired guns. But the message was clear. Caine was desperate. That night, with both families shaken but safe, Judge Foster made a call to the district attorney. "I have a proposal," she said. 3 days later, Marcus sat in a federal courtroom watching Judge Foster deliver her ruling. The evidence was overwhelming. Caine's organization collapsed like a house of cards. Federal charges, RICO violations, attempted murder of a sitting judge. Caine was led away in handcuffs, his empire finished. In the gallery, Marcus held Zara on one side, Simone on the other. When Judge Foster's eyes found his, she smiled, exhausted but triumphant. The house they bought together was in a quiet neighborhood, big enough for 2 families, with a backyard where Zara and Simone could play. Marcus had accepted a position as head of security for the state court system. Judge Foster had returned to the bench, stronger than ever, but the biggest change was them. It had happened gradually, late-night conversations turning into stolen kisses, protective instincts deepening into love. They'd fought it at first, worried about the girls, about timing, about everything they'd both lost. But Zara and Simone had been the ones to push them together. "You love her, Daddy," Zara had said simply one night, "and she loves you. Why are you both being silly about it?" Now, Marcus stood in their kitchen making pancakes while Judge Foster, Diane, he called her now, sat at the table reviewing case files. Simone was teaching Zara a new dance upstairs, their laughter echoing through the house. "Marcus," Diane said softly, "come here." He turned. She was holding something, a small velvet box. "I know traditionally the man asks," she said with a smile. "But I'm a judge. I don't do traditional." Marcus's heart stopped. "We've built something here. A family, a home, a life that neither of us thought we'd have again." She opened the box, revealing 2 rings. "Marry me, Marcus Bennett. Let's make this official." Zara and Simone appeared in the doorway, both grinning. "Say yes, Daddy," Zara squealed. Marcus pulled Diane to her feet, kissing her deeply while their daughters cheered. "Yes," he whispered against her lips. "Always yes." They'd both been broken, both been alone, both been fighting just to survive. But together, they'd found something neither expected. A second chance at love, at family, at home. And this time, Marcus knew with certainty they were exactly where they belonged. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you loved this story, check out the other videos on your screen now. I think you'll really enjoy them. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. See you in the next story.